Well, welcome, and it's great to have you here. I'm looking and seeing there's about a dozen people already here, and usually people start trickling in during the kind of first 5-10 minutes. So it's great to have you here. This is going to be a different form of live stream to my regular live streams. There will be a little less interaction, but this is a kind of prepared webinar. It has long seemed to me that artificial intelligence is going to be a very important part of our profession of project management. And over the summer, I set myself the task to learn as much as I could about it from readily available sources across the internet, videos, articles, books, blogs, whatever, and try to distill what I could about what is relevant to us as project managers, what we can say across the whole profession to all of you. And so that's what I'm going to be doing here today. It's great to see a few people signing in. I'll just acknowledge that Mary was here first, or Mary Teresa, I'm not sure which you prefer, was here first. Neil here as well, and Brian just signed in from Chicago. It's great to have loads of people here, and it's also lovely to know where you are in the world. And so far on live streams I've had people from all continents except Antarctica. I'm kind of not holding out my hopes on that one, I'm afraid. But it's great to have as many people as possible. It's also nice to know what your kind of background is, what your interest is in project management. So do sign in the chat if you're willing to. You don't have to. It's not mandatory at all. You can lurk. So in a moment, I'm going to kind of cut across to a prepared presentation, which I reckon is going to take about 90 minutes, which is our usual length of our live streams. And I'll be telling you about how you can access all sorts of supplementary resources because this is something that I think is going to grow and grow, and I'm going to be adding to those supplementary resources. So this is going to be a bit of a departure for me. It's a kind of executive briefing, which I kind of anticipated when I started developing it, charging for, but decided to put it onto the channel because so many people on the channel have supported me and helped the channel grow. And I know Neil has already sort of said that his first time on my live stream, watched a lot of my recordings, so that's great. And I noticed, Neil, you're in Stockport in the UK, so although I'm kind of the opposite end of the country to you in southern UK, I was at University of Manchester and know Stockport reasonably well, had quite a lot of friends out there. Anyway, welcome everyone, and I'm going to get started straight away because I know you're here for the good stuff and not for the chat. Well, at least I hope you're here for the good stuff and not the chat. So let's just see if the technology is going to play nicely with me. So, whoops, I think it's not. It's already not playing nicely with me because I managed to put it onto the wrong slide. Let's just go back to the beginning. So, there we are. So, as I say, this is not a standard live stream. This will be a presentation all the way through. At times I may pause and take a look at what's in the chat, but by and large we're going to be working our way through this live stream through a prepared deck, and I'll tell you how you can get access to it in a bit. So, artificial intelligence and project management. There has been a lot of chatter about it. There are a number of people starting to think actively about artificial intelligence and project management, but there's very little kind of readily available. Couldn't find anything substantive about artificial intelligence and project management in one package on YouTube, and there's very little kind of written about it as well. There's quite a lot about artificial intelligence, as you would expect. So what I wanted to do is to answer the questions that I had about artificial intelligence and project management for myself over the summer. I got about 10 pages of notes in my notebook, and that's pretty dense stuff. And I wanted to understand what artificial intelligence is and find some kind of form of working definition for myself. I wanted to understand what its role is and could be in project management. What are the issues that surround it? And what do we need to do to prepare ourselves? So to do that, I created an agenda for us after I've researched it. So we're going to look at this in 5 steps. First, I'm going to do a little bit of an introduction. I'm going to talk a bit about the history. This isn't going to be a history lesson, though. I'm not going to go deep into the history of it, but I'm going to introduce some of the major milestones along the way, because we're project managers. We love milestones. I'm also going to give you my working definition of what AI is, and an indication of what, at the moment, I believe it can and cannot do, and also talk a little bit about the jargon. There is a lot of jargon in this topic, as there is in our own profession of project management, so not surprising, really. Then we'll look at some of the issues, and I've divided those into... then we'll look at the role of artificial intelligence in project management. I'll look at its current capabilities and its potential uses, where it's going to go, or where I think it's going to go, the benefits it can have to us, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the principles of adoption. I'm going to borrow a framework developed by the consulting firm Accenture. But there are a lot of issues, and I've divided those into 4 sections: implementation issues, operational issues, some of the social issues, and some of the ethical issues. And I recall I'm not sure if it was the last live stream or the one before, one of the people viewing the live stream, if I remember rightly, it was Stuart Taylor, the influential PMO. I don't know if you're here today, Stuart. You usually say hi in the chat, so I'm assuming you're not here at the moment. But he asked me about one of the ethical issues, and I said I would definitely be covering that, and I will. And then I'm going to end with my assessment of where we are and what the status is of AI and project management. And I've called it current assessment because I think it will change in 6 months' time, and certainly in a year, and it will continue to change. So that's our agenda. 5 sections, as I say, probably around 90 minutes, but stick with me as long as you can. And remember that this will be recorded, firstly for YouTube, and secondly, as I'll show you in a minute, I will also be producing an edited version of this, a clean version of this. Before I do that, just acknowledge we've got a few more people signing in. Looks like on my monitor that we've got something like 22 people viewing at the moment, which is lovely. We've got Tunde, who attends a lot of these, so that's great. We've got Ali Hamzai, Esther and Ali from the Netherlands, brilliant. We've got Amit from India, Neil from UK, Mary Teresa also from India. So it looks like the Indian subcontinent has it for the moment in terms of representation, certainly signing in. Oh, and Brian from Chicago. But that means we've got North America, East Asia, in Europe so far. So that's 3 continents. Not bad, but it would be great if we could have more. Usually have people from Africa and occasionally from South America, to get us up to 5. But it'd be lovely if we could get Australasia, but let's face it, it's the middle of the night for them. It's very, very early hours in the morning, and it would be lovely to get someone from South America. I'm holding out my hopes, but not very much, for perhaps someone joining from Antarctica one day. We've got someone from South Carolina, Azerbaijan. Okay, so that's kind of West Asia, I suppose. It's kind of close to the kind of border. Oh, and we've got Nicola from Canada. Welcome. Right, let's move on, because it's the good stuff that you're after. I have to keep reminding myself. So what I'm going to say, this is a little bit of an advert. This webinar is free. When I was preparing it, I was thinking originally of preparing... I had so much good material that I was thinking of preparing a paid webinar, private webinar, on a secure platform, probably Lighthall, which I've used for a Project Management Fundamentals course earlier in the year. Worked very well. But then I decided that... I wanted it to be available to more people and people who couldn't afford to pay for it. But I know there are a lot of you out there who do genuinely appreciate the work I do, most of which is free. I produce, just for the Project Management channel, 2 videos a week and 1 major article every week on the website. I answer a lot of questions. I do a lot. So if you are minded to support me, and you want to say thank you, there are two ways you can do it. You could buy me a coffee if you want to, and I'll put a link in the chat for anyone who wants to do that. But before you rush to buy me a coffee, I have prepared a supporting briefing kit. It's a resource kit. So let me just cut across, if this works, to my browser. And one of the courses that is now available from today on the on my course platform is Artificial Intelligence and Project Management. It is a professional briefing, and this course, which if I click on it, you can see is sells for $27, but I'm going to be giving you, and those of us in Europe pay VAT, apologies for that, so that's on there, but I can't affect that. But what this course will give you, if I go down to the curriculum briefly, I will be creating an edited version of this session shortly. There is also a glossary, a 12-page glossary of the jargon, and it's a very highly curated glossary. I've been careful to find the things that I think are most useful. There is a reading list for project managers. It's not everything there is about artificial intelligence. It's the best stuff I've found, the stuff that I've learned most from and found most useful in preparing this. There's a viewing list of some of the best videos that I've watched. There's a checklist of questions we need to be asking and answering, and I will be going through a lot of this stuff as we go through, don't worry. Also, checklist of actions we need to take. There's the things you'll need to thrive alongside AI, and there's some stuff about Project Management Technology Quotient, PMI's concept there. And I've also set up a couple of chat rooms within the course, so that we can have a conversation. Anyone who joins the course can have a conversation, and if you find stuff and you're part of the course, you can post it for other people to see. And so what I'm going to pop into the chat is a link to that. Oh, actually, what I need to do, I forgot to grab the discount link. Bear with me a second. I'm just going to pop us back onto the thing. I'm just going to find a link for this that will give you a discount, because I want to give you a discount. So you can, here we go, that's the thing. So I'm going to paste in, it's actually in the description, apologies for the delay here, but I'm going to paste into the chat. Come on, mouse. Oh, that's way too much. I'm going to have to do that as two halves. Right, so let's start with that. Oh no, I don't need to, it's just under. So the link I've just pasted in is a link to the course that I've just shown you. And if you put in AI & PM _launch, all capitals, at checkout, you'll get that at half price up until the end of the year. So if you want to support me, if you want to say thank you for me doing this for free, and you don't have to, but if you want to, and get the resources, and I will be thinking about adding resources as we go through, then that's what I'll be doing. So there's your fully edited video webinar as soon as I can get that done. Decode the jargon, glossary of 60 critical AI terms, reading and viewing lists, checklists of questions, bonus briefings, and a community section. So that's what you'll get. Anyway, I think it's time we went back to the good stuff. So the first section is an introduction to what AI is all about, and everyone, I think, now wants to know what AI is all about. It's become such an important topic. In fact, I was reading New Scientist the other day, and it turns out that even the Pope has an AI advisor, Paolo Benanti, since you ask. So we do need to kind of know who about this stuff. If the Pope needs to know it, and the Pope, well, I was going to say doesn't do anything. He does lots, I'm sure. But he's not crafting change by the minute as we are. Then we do have to know about this. So let's get the introduction. And the first thing I wanted to say is that artificial intelligence is like any other form of technology. Every form of technology has followed a very similar path. It starts off in the hands of an elite few that we might call the priesthood. And in fact, in the very, very ancient days, writing was something that was only in the hands of priests. And I've just noticed, never mind, I'll come back to that in a minute. Writing was in the hands of only of the priests, and in fact, ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, the hiero bit, means actually priestly, as opposed to, so hieratic scripts are the priestly scripts, as opposed to demotic scripts, which came later, which are the scripts that everyone used. So that's the that was how writing started, and everything starts in the hands of the few, the elite few, the priesthood. What then happens is that it gets rolled out to limited numbers of less skilled users, what you might call the middle classes are there as well, and they start to use it, and then gradually it becomes adopted by more and more people until anyone and everyone uses it. So now pretty much everyone in a well-functioning country is able to read and write and use language fully. And I think there will come a time when everyone in a well-functioning country will be able to use AI to a degree. I mean, already virtually everyone, not virtually everyone, but a huge proportion of the population of the planet have mobile phones which have Siri if you're on Apple, and it's not Alexa, I can't remember what the one is on Android. Someone will probably put it in the chat, and that's AI. So it's going to become democratized, so we do need to know about this if we want to stay out ahead of it. So what timeline has AI followed? Well, here are some highlights, some milestones along the way, and I think we have to acknowledge the word robot came from a play by Carol Capek. Apologies to Carol Capek if I pronounced the name wrong, but he wrote a play called Rossum's Universal Robots in 1923 and coined the name robot. Google Assistant. That was the one. 1950 was a good year for artificial intelligence. Alan Turing coined the Turing test. The Turing test is a simple test of whether an AI or a computer can appear to be human. And it's a kind of, if you can have a conversation with someone or something behind a brick wall that you can't see and you can't tell whether it's human, that's a kind of measure of intelligence. And in the same year, Isaac Asimov, in his series of short stories about robots, coined the 3 laws of robotics. As I understand it now, kind of philosophers and ethicists are thinking these, although they seem like a brilliant set of laws, and when I was a kid and read about these, I thought, oh, fantastic, these will happen, these will be implemented. They're not now viewed as practical and complete and all of that. But the idea that a robot shall not harm nor by inaction allow to come to harm a human being, and that a robot shall obey a human being unless it conflicts with the first law. I can't remember the third one. I think robots protect other robots, protect itself unless it conflicts with one of the other 2 laws. Those are brilliant laws, but they were written largely in service of mystery stories whereby robots appeared to have broken the laws, and yet they can't. The first AI program, what was thought of as the first AI program, appeared in 1956. McCarthy and Minsky, that is Marvin Minsky, famous kind of computer scientist and philosopher. Then Edward Feigenbaum came up with the idea of expert systems in 1965. Then we had the first kind of natural language processing, ELIZA. I remember using ELIZA when I was at school through a dial-up modem. And by dial-up modem, I mean you took the end of a phone and stuck it into this computer, literally stuck the phone into the computer so that the computer was listening to sounds, talking to what is now Middlesex University. Then, of course, we had the HAL 9000, the scary computer in Arthur C. Clarke's 2001, 1968. It seems like a long time ago. We had the idea of deep learning and the first neural networks in 1982. Neural networks are networks, computer networks that simulate brain structures in the way they learn. And then we had Deep Blue, the computer chess program beating a grandmaster in 1997, Garry Kasparov. Then the web, the World Wide Web, 1998. The internet had been around a lot longer, I think since the 60s, but Tim Berners-Lee created the idea of the World Wide Web in 1998. Google's first autonomous car, 2001. You'll notice these dots are not spaced evenly, not proportionately. And then Siri came along in 2011. Apologies to Google Assistant and Alexa. Don't know when they came along. And then, of course, we had the most complicated game that human beings play, Go. AlphaGo computer was able to beat a Korean grandmaster, Lee Sedol, in 2016. And then we can kind of look at how, in that timeline, some of the project management things fit in. The first thing I would note is that, most of it kind of clusters around the last 6 years or so, and all of the things there I've really put in are research papers. Now there is AI technology coming on, but it's all at the moment commercial, and I didn't want to kind of shout out any particular commercial companies, but there have been some significant papers in the last few years, and things are starting to happen quite quickly. So what is artificial intelligence? Well, the definition I'm going to give is that it is a system or a machine that is programmed to mimic, to look like particular aspects of human intelligence so that it can perform tasks. But importantly, it doesn't mimic all aspects of human intelligence simultaneously. All the different things we can do. We can walk, we can talk, we can chew gum, we can drive cars, we can run projects, we can paint, we can sing, we can feed the dog, we can operate on people if we're doctors, all those things. No artificial intelligence can do all those things. What each artificial intelligence picks a particular aspect so that it can work. Typically, AI systems improve the way they operate and the way that we can operate based on use of data. Bear with me just one moment. Right. Okay, apologies. I think the stream dropped for just a moment there. For much my apologies. This has happened to me before, but never again. Oh, good grief. Okay, I don't know if I'm streaming or not. Come on, Google, tell me if I'm streaming. Let me just see what happens if I change my slide and see if that comes through. Oh, God. Okay, I think I'm back online, but I'm not sure. Great, slide changed. Okay, all is okay. I'm streaming. Phew. Okay, my apologies. I'm not sure what's going on here, but I think I've got a good connection back. So thank you for everyone who's telling me that. Moment of panic. Looks like I lost about 10 people from the stream. Apologies. Oh, dear. Anyway, the perils of having a teenage daughter who's probably watching Netflix and talking to her friends and playing a game. I've asked my wife to see if she can encourage her. Anyway, let's get back to it. So, I've given you a definition of AI that says that artificial intelligence is about machines that are programmed to mimic human intelligence, and I've qualified that by saying they focus on specific activities. But I think a better definition of what AI is a definition by virtue of what it can do. And so what I put on the slide here are some of the things that AI can do at the moment. It can, and I've kind of focused on largely on the kind of things that we see. We see product recommendations. I mean, I don't know what your favourite shopping site is, but probably most people have been to Amazon. Most people have been to Spotify. The systems that are kind of looking at what you have bought, what you've listened to, and recommending the next things. And YouTube, of course. Mustn't forget YouTube. That's the one thing that we've all got in common. We all use YouTube because you're here. It's making recommendations, and it's AI that's doing that. Share trading, is a lot of that is now done by AI. Sometimes that's really good because it can respond fast. Sometimes that's really bad because it can respond fast. Translation, Google Translate, for example, automation, data processing, biometrics. Whenever you go, if you've got a biometric passport, whenever you go through the system, that's it. If you're using an iPhone which has, or a phone which has a thumbprint recognition or a face recognition, those are biometrics. That's AI. If you're using software on your phone or your computer that can recognize faces in your photo stream and label them with the names of your friends, that's AI. When you've watched deepfakes, and if you've done any image generation, if you saw the thumbnail to this live stream, that was created with image generation, artificial intelligence called Midjourney, and I said, produce a robot in a business suit, and it did. The chatbots on websites, some of them are programmed procedurally, but some of them are AI. Voice recognition, again, Google Assistant, Siri, Cortana, Alexa, that's AI. Picture recognition, fraud detection, your bank scanning every single transaction, looking for signs of transactions that don't fit. And of course, search results increasingly are now AI. So the thing that is all of this has in common is that more data is better. AI absolutely needs to have vast amounts of data to work well. And this is going to be something really important for us to understand as project managers. If we are going to be either implementing AI for our clients or for our organizations, or using AI in the way we do projects, we are going to be very much reliant on data infrastructure that is able to gather data and store it and make it available to the AI. And that's fundamental to AI. But it's also important to say, to kind of project through to how this will play out. And my sense of this, very simplified, is that at the moment, as project managers in our project environment, AI now and in the near term is a passive assistant to the things we do. And largely it does two things particularly well. Data analytics, and project assistance. And by project assistance, I mean automation. You can program your AI to do all sorts of things to help you to do stuff in an automated way. So it makes things more efficient. And it can analyze data. in the medium term, we are going to see soon AI used increasingly as a predictive tool. The barrier to that is not the AI technology, it is the data technology, not the ability to gather the data, but having the data available. Because, not to put too fine a point in it, garbage in, garbage out. If you've got a weak store of data, then you're going to get weak predictions based on it. And I've had two interesting conversations. One, I did an interview which will go on the channel in the new year with Dr. Eddie Obeng, one of my kind of project management heroes, and we were talking about the fact that historically organisations rewrite history, and the data shows that projects are achieved on budget and on schedule based on a rebaseline that was produced 3 months before completion. And if that's the data that goes into your predictive engines, then your AI is going to predict huge amounts of success. But I've also been having an online conversation with a chap who I'm not going to announce his name or his company, but he runs a predictive AI business here in the UK. I'm going to interview him. He's going to be on the channel as well for the new year. And they are now using predictive AI. So near term, but in my view, and he may say different, it's really a medium-term thing that will be getting good predictions. But because of my worry largely around the quality of the data, and then in the long term, that's a medium term, and those predictions mean that AI will influence decision making and it will improve project performance. But in the long term, I think AI will be a genuine project contributor. NASA has already started allocating email addresses to AI contributors on its projects, so it's in there. But what AI will be able to do, I think, at some point, is interpret human facts. It'll be able to read emotions in our voices. In fact, already it can to a degree. My bank uses voice recognition as a security layer when I phone up to do a transaction, and it is supposed to be able to distinguish a voice that isn't mine from a voice that is mine but masked by a heavy cold or by feeling upset or that. So some of the factors are there, and that means that, and this is the big one, AI will be allowed some measure of autonomy, I believe, at some point. But, and here's the big but, if I can get my slide to move, AI could do a lot, but I don't believe there is a currently foreseeable future where AI will become sentient and conscious, like in the films and the books and the stories. These are stories at the moment. AI can certainly sense what's going on in its environment, and it can certainly will be able to adapt to that environment, and it will get better at it. But at the moment, it doesn't understand that environment. It just interprets it against a set of rules or a set of learned behaviours. And I'm not sure whether it ever can or should. But even if it can, how would we even know if AI had developed consciousness? We don't have a fully functioning model of human consciousness. We argue about what animals are conscious and what animals are not, whether plants have any kind of consciousness. We don't really understand it. But it is worth mentioning a little bit about, the Turing test, which is a computer holding a conversation with a human being where they can't see each other. If the human being can't distinguish whether the computer is a computer or a human, does that mean that it has consciousness? Well, the answer is no. We can get very good at simulating humans. And AI can generate images which look very much like real people. So it can get close. And there is the concept of the Chinese room. I think John Searle, the philosopher, came up with this. The idea that an AI doesn't even have to be conscious at all in order to very closely simulate human beings, if it is just simply able procedurally to find a way to reflect back what's going on. And there are novels using this idea. So I don't think anywhere in our future we're going to see T800s roaming the Earth with full autonomy yet, but who knows? Now, I'm aware I've kind of already thrown some jargon at you, so just as part of the toolkit that I'm offering at half price, $27 half price, with the voucher, with the code. Part of that is this little ebook, PDF ebook, Decode the Jargon of Artificial Intelligence. I've selected 60 of the terms that I thought were most important for us to understand and put them in there. I may at some point, in fact I'm likely at some point to update it, maybe move it up to 80 and then to 100, and that will be a kind of free update to anyone who buys and subscribes. I did get a message to say the link wasn't working that I put in the chat. I put another link in the chat. Hopefully that's working, and I will try pasting that link in again while we're at it. So that's going in now. And I noticed the kind of chat updates ahead of when you get me speaking, so that's probably quite confusing to you. Right, I think I'll just have a quick flick over. I got loads of messages saying hello, saying that the stream is working again, and I'm getting a green light again. So obviously my wife was successful in speaking with my daughter. Fantastic. I guess I'll have to buy her a nice little gift. We see you, hear you. You're streaming. AI was trying to resist, says Stuart, the influential PMO. Patrick, good to have you here too. Lovely. Excellent. Let's move on to the second section. So this is the section about the role of artificial intelligence in project management. So this is now the AI and project management bit. So we'll put AI into the context of project management and answer the question, what is the role of AI in project management? And I think if we look initially at what's going on, what I'm seeing out there are things like meeting transcription services. And by the way, most of these are not pure play project management AI apps and software. A lot of these are things that we can bring into our project management from a range of different apps. But meeting transcription, chatbot assistants are available, but AI is starting to be used for decision making and problem solving. Task automation is a big one. Data analysis and data collection, big one. Starting to see some deep learning software out there, which is going to be providing, taking in lots of data and providing those kind of predictions that we need, and virtual testing tools for IT projects as well. But the future is huge. There's just so much potential out there. Prediction, forecasting, risk evaluation is a huge one. If you can get reliable data on risks, then we start to create what has never been possible in project management before, what actuaries have, the ability to take in data from projects in the past and use those as a basis for making not necessarily more reliable, but more precise estimates, and hopefully more accurate estimates of risk, which would be fantastic. Knowledge management, the ability to kind of take in project management knowledge and make it available. Report creation, not just automated report creation, where you're using kind of robotic processes which are gathering in data and then formatting graphs and sticking them into a document, but actually evaluating what that data means. And that needs interpretation of natural language and the ability to then create natural language processing. Performance evaluation of the project, and just as banks are able to use AI now for fraud detection, maybe we will see AI project audit looking at your reports and saying, does that smell good? Portfolio prioritization, this is a huge thing. Expert systems that are able to take human expertise and apply it. Scenario analysis is a huge potential use. Resource allocation, budgeting and scheduling. I mean, the ability to take all of this and create a project schedule and a project budget with more reliability, more data brought in, is phenomenal. And the ability to fill in missing data. So all this, I think, is in the future for us, and that has huge benefits, and lots of benefits are being claimed by many people in many places, but some of the ones I think are really important are compliance, productivity, communication software, real-time translation will have a huge impact. The ability of people to speak their own language and hear their own language. Problem solving, resource utilization. The fact that AI can do things 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without getting tired, without starting to make mistakes, is a phenomenal thing. Decision making. And that will give us, as project managers, more time for people. Putting together reports, analysis, time for strategy. Now, it's not all good, because in 2009, I think, or was it 2009, 2019? My notes are, can't read my notes. Just see if I can find it. 2019, that's it. 2019, Oxford Economics wrote a report forecasting that by 2030, AI could replace up to 20 million manufacturing jobs worldwide. And Gartner and PwC are estimating, again, by 2030, that maybe, this is a horrible number for us, 80% of PM roles could be eliminated. And there is something that I read, not in a project management context, which said the biggest impact of AI will be on the middle classes, the professional classes, because AI will not be able to do manual labour. I mean, robots will, but AI maybe not. There are all sorts of kind of manual labour things that maybe won't be susceptible to automation, and certainly the upper classes will always do fine. But some of these professional jobs, AI will hit out at it. So that's a big challenge for us. Is that organisations like PMI have for years been saying the number of project managers the world needs will grow and grow and grow. The question is, how will that be filled? Will it be filled by human beings, human intelligence, or will it be filled by artificial intelligence? Now, how do we make the AI investments work? Accenture have done some really good work on this. So has, by the way, PwC and the International Project Management Association, IPMA. PMI has done some stuff on this, and I've kind of documented some stuff. So in the resource kit, you'll find models from the IPMA and PwC. They're 5 key non-IT skills that we'll need to master if we want to master AI at work. You'll see PMI's 6 digital age skills discussed. I'll talk about the PMI's 3 characteristics of a high PM technology quotient project manager, and my 5 steps for reaching higher technology quotient, higher TQ. But I thought I'd share with you Accenture's 5 key principles for AI investment. First of all, they say you need the right mindset, and for me that mindset is all about welcoming the change, because it's going to happen whether you welcome it or not. So get out ahead of it, respect it, and kind of prepare for it. Promote experimentation. There will be lots of AI solutions that work, and there will be lots of AI solutions that do not work, or are not cost effective, or do not deliver value. And the only way you will find the right ones is to try different things. So it's going to cost money, it's going to take time, but we need to experiment. There are no deep experts in what is going to work in your organisation for your uses. Leadership needs to be involved. This is strategic. This is strategy. This is not technology. It's not operations. It's strategy. Because it will transform the way businesses operate, or will have the power to do so. Anyone who's using AI as just a kind of quick fix to a small problem, that could be money well spent, but they're not getting the whole benefit of what AI will be able to do. And as I say, more data, better AI. So you need to incorporate data into your strategy. You need to set up the data infrastructure to make AI work, and you need to make sure that you and your colleagues are cultivating new skills and preparing for it. So what are the issues? Now Stuart's on the call, I know I can kind of call back to the fact that Stuart raised kind of one of the ethical issues. In fact, I think I got my notebook in front of me where I kind of noted down his question. Ethical impacts. Delegating project decision making to AI, I think Stuart wanted me to mention. So Stuart, hang on in, it's coming up. But before we do, I want to talk about adoption. There are a lot of things that will hamper adoption by their profession. So I'm talking here about AI for project management. And I think the first and most obvious one is lack of training and knowledge. We just don't know about it. And for those of you who are on this live stream, those of you who are watching it in rerun, good on you. You are taking the first step to educating yourself. Let that be a first step, not the all. Because we need to keep learning. And again, sorry to do another plug, but what I will say is that one of the benefits if you do buy the resource kit is that I will try to keep it up to date. I will try to add stuff to it, and it's a chance to have a dialogue. So please do consider that. But there is another adoption challenge, which is tight budgets. I'm in the UK where we are struggling under the possibility of a recession, and UK is not the only country where that is true. The world is in a difficult economic place at the moment and a difficult political place at the moment. Well, many places, in fact. For each country around the world has challenges, and so budgets will be tight, and that experimentation, that learning will cost money. It will take time, and that therefore becomes a barrier. My suggestion is that you need to be articulating a case to your leadership to get you the resources together to work with your team to learn about this stuff. Like so many things, and I think I said this about my benefits management course about 3 years ago, if you adopt early, then spending that money will give you an edge on your competitors. If you adopt late, then not spending the money and taking the time will actually put you behind your competitors. So the case is strong. But here's the challenge. There is currently a poor evidence base and a poor and no real strong assessment methodology for constructing a business case around starting to adopt artificial intelligence. We just don't have the prediction capability to say if you spend this you will get that. The value proposition is based on hope, expectation, and some kind of hard to articulate probability. It is not based on certainty. However, what I would say is that whenever I talk about portfolio management and creating a project portfolio, I always say you should have a spread bet, and there should be things in your portfolio where you do not know whether they will succeed. But if there are enough things like that, and the portfolio is well enough considered, then the things that do succeed will deliver enough value to more than cover the cost of the things that don't. And I think you do need to be adopting AI technologies now and finding a way to articulate that business case. And we will be creating that methodology as a cohort of project managers. Now, the next thing are the operational issues surrounding artificial intelligence, and I think there are two big ones. The first one, it strikes me, is that the world is in a bit of a pickle with our energy demands. AI will require huge amounts of data and huge amounts of processing power, and they require huge amounts of technology, hardware, server farms, data archives. And that has a huge energy consumption implication at the moment, and that has environmental impacts. Now, currently, I reckon that AI is using significantly less computer power than the idiots who are generating cryptocurrencies by warming the atmosphere as a way of generating their money. But as AI grows, and I'm not qualified to give investment advice, but frankly, as people start to realise how flimsy the idea of cryptocurrencies really is, I think hopefully that will calm down. But there's a real concern. We will be generating huge amounts of heat. and most of it will be wasted and go into the atmosphere. But the other more substantive one, I think, for us in the short term is the priesthood. There is going to be an AI priesthood, a small, tight cadre of experts, which I think will create in the short term a two-tier profession, a profession where some people are experts in AI, using AI, setting it up, creating it, implementing it, and there will be some who aren't. And that can lead, I think, because it has many times in the past, to misuses that could give rise to some of the social and ethical issues that I want to turn my attention to. And all of the issues that I've got on my kind of giant kind of mind map that I've tried to sort out into these 4 categories, all of them could sit in possibly in more than one of these boxes, these categories. And it's particularly the case that there is a very, very fuzzy boundary between social issues and ethical issues. So if you don't agree that I put them in the right box, fair enough. I'll take that. But the first of the social issues that I thought about was accountability. Will we be able to understand and therefore to audit the decisions that AI makes? And some of these can have a huge impact on people's lives. And this is going to give a loss of autonomy to some elements of human intelligence in favour of real agency for AI. And we already know that AI is misidentifying people in photographs. And if you're using AI for surveillance and it misidentifies you, or you're using biometrics and it misidentifies you, then it's not the worst thing that could happen that you're stuck in immigration for a few hours because the AI says you're not who your passport thinks you should be. But what happens if your biometrics happen to match the true perpetrator of a crime? So there's a huge accountability issue. Next question is, who actually owns the data and who owns the AIs? Because if we've got a two-tier profession where some people understand AI and some people don't, we've also going to have a two-tier society where some people have access to AI and some people do not, and that creates potential inequities. And it kind of gets a little scary when we start thinking about like realistic sci-fi like scenarios where big corporations have access to data and knowledge and therefore predictions that maybe legitimate states, the countries we live in, do not. Now, you may be very cynical about the power of the state, but I think you might be wise to be even more cynical about the power of corporations. And this isn't me being conspiracy theorist. This is me just kind of saying, there's something to be concerned about, and there are potential social issues here. And of course, we may be creating reliance. This is the third one. We may be creating reliance on something we don't fully understand. I spend a lot of my time on YouTube, and any YouTuber who is heavily involved in the platform will tell you that there are some people who will tell you how the YouTube algorithm works and how to win at YouTube, get your video seen, but most serious players will say, you know what, nobody really knows. Everyone's got ideas, and some of those ideas seem to work for a while, but I genuinely don't think even Google, even the YouTube staff, really understand how the YouTube algorithm works. I think it's too big, too complex, too many moving parts, and therefore after a while we will not understand how our creation is working. And it gets worse because human beings have so much we can learn that when we no longer need to learn to do something, we don't learn to do it. Kids nowadays do not have the ability to do many of the things that older generations were able to do because they don't need to. They've got calculators to do sums, they've got phones that remember phone numbers. When I was a kid, you had to know about half a dozen phone numbers so that you could make calls, call your friends, call your parents, whatever. The only phone number I remember now is my own. I don't remember my wife's mobile phone number. I don't remember my daughter's mobile phone number. It's programmed into the phone. So, there will be times when AI takes over from us and stops us from learning to do things. And then there's the control thing. AI can control certain tasks, but what if it gets it wrong? How does recompense work? How does fixing things work? And how does the law work? Just here's an example: driverless cars. Driverless cars work, and they are probably safer than human drivers already. But the problem we have is that nobody knows what happens if there is an accident. If I'm driving and there's an accident, then it's me and the dog. If a driverless car has an accident, whose fault is it? Is it the non-driving passenger? Is it the manufacturer of the car, the manufacturer, the writer of the software, the vendor? We just don't have that framework. And this all kind of takes us in the direction of ethics, of course, and some of these we've already talked about, but let's go one step further. I talked about the possibility of AI getting identification wrong and face recognition, and surveillance is a big thing. But what if AI is conducting surveillance and analysing things, and it's now starting to profile when crimes occur, what sort of people create crimes, and then it starts to identify the potential that a crime will have? Some people will be familiar with science fiction stories around pre-crimes. Now, the most famous of those, Minority Report, the predictions are made by telepathic humans. But what if a computer said a crime is going to be committed tomorrow by this individual for this reason? And let's say it's a murder. So if you arrest them beforehand to prevent the murder, there's no evidence, apart from the AI, that they were going to do it. But if you wait till there's evidence and they do kill someone, then morally you're at fault. That is a huge ethical question. Next, perhaps a more mundane one. Machine learning is trained on huge data sets, but if there is bias in that data set, then there will be bias in what computers learn and know. Just like, if there's bias in what parents tell their children, then children come out biased. It's not their fault. It just happens. And of course, we already know that that picture recognition and picture recommendations trained on data sets. And here's just a very, very simple example. If you ask Google images for a picture of a nurse, it's almost certainly going to be a woman, and probably a white woman, because that's the predominance in the data set. And yet, if you live in Africa, then there are going to be very, very few white women who are nurses in Africa. So that's not what a nurse looks like. And there are plenty of male nurses. And so we do have this huge racial issue, we have this gender issue with it. Then there's the question of who owns the data. And finally, the copyright. Who owns the copyright on things that AI produces using other data? Now, tools like Midjourney, DALL-E, Stable Diffusion can produce fantastic images in the style of great artists and modern artists and designers. If it creates a picture based on training on 1,000 pictures by, let's say, Rembrandt, and produces a picture that looks like a Rembrandt painting of a modern person, let's say a modern politician, well, then there's no issue, because Rembrandt's been dead years and all his stuff is out of copyright. But let's say you ask it to produce it in the style of a modern contemporary artist who is still working, and it does that. They've used that artist's kind of intellectual property, a style that artist has delivered and developed. So copyright's a huge issue. And all of this raises to me the question of, can we ever trust AI? So let's come back to the world of work and the world of project management. And when we're talking about trust, I immediately gravitate towards my favourite model of trust, Maister, Green and Galford. David Maister's the kind of name I most associate with it. Their model of the trust equation from their book, The Trusted Advisor. And I like this because the trusted advisor is about building trust as a professional services person, and that's the background I come from. I come from consultancy, but as project managers, we're all providing professional services to our employers or to our clients. And they have a very simple equation that says that trust is a function of credibility, reliability, intimacy, and self-orientation. So the more credible you are, the more reliable you are, the more intimate you are with someone, then the more they will trust you. And the lower your self-orientation, the more they will trust you. So how much do I trust you? I trust you more if I think you're credible and an expert. And of course, I think for AI, this credibility can be very high. And if I believe you're reliable, if I believe you will do what you say when you say you will do it, then I will trust you more. And I think AI will score very highly on that. What it says is, if I don't trust your motives, if I think you're highly self-oriented, then that will diminish the trust I have for you. And now, on the face of it, AI doesn't have motives, it just does what it's told. So maybe that could be very low. But if we start worrying about the ethical side, maybe there will be something that substitutes for self-orientation, which will diminish trust. But then intimacy. Yes, we've seen films and we've read stories where AIs are so like humans that we can share intimacy with them, we can get to know them, we can feel their friendship. But for a long time, I think intimacy will be the barrier to real trust. So, what do we need to do to prepare? We're professionals, we belong to a profession, and our profession works in the world. So we need to think about the different tiers of preparation we need to do to prepare well. And the first tier are the kind of questions we need to ask and answer to prepare ourselves. Now, I've created a list of about a dozen questions, which I'm not going to go through here. You'll be pleased to hear they are all in the resource kit. But I think a lot of the questions I ask are around the implications of AI for the profession. What will be the impact on the work we need to be doing? What will be the impact on our career progression and the experiences we're able to get, and the amount of work that's available for us? And fundamentally, will it become a higher or a lower skill profession as a result of AI? I don't know the answer to that, but we need to be thinking about this and debating it. What are the impacts on the project itself and on the governance processes? Yeah, accountability is so important for us as project managers. And then there are questions around risks, and then there's the ultimate question. I've described my last section of this session as my current assessment of AI and PM, because I think things will change. And so the question we have to ask is, what are the unknown unknowns? What are the things we don't know? What are the things that we haven't yet thought to ask? We need to be constantly surveying the horizon to see what's coming up. I've also got a number of suggestions for what our organisations need to do to prepare to embrace this opportunity and to provide the training that their employees need to do, need to gain. And once again, I've got about a dozen kind of actions for our organisations. But the headlines there are, I think we need to start investing in artificial intelligence, and we need to start figuring out how to make those investments. Start sharing case studies, building in-house understanding, putting AI into our strategic plans and budgeting for that. But there's also the governance and the ethics and the privacy and the security and the oversight imperative. We need to start thinking, how are we going to manage all that? What do we need to put in place? How do we do that? How can we also kind of push the vendors to create better AI solutions that not only are easy to use and effective at delivering the productivity improvements we need and the competitive advantage we want, but also that are transparent and free from bias and don't create the ethical problems that we fear. So, huge amount for organisations to get their teeth into. And then there's the PM profession. And we need to work together as a profession. Again, I have another kind of dozen suggestions for things that the profession needs to do. And I think this needs to happen inside our organisations, our professional bodies, the PMI, the APM, but also the other professional bodies around, the PMO professional bodies, business analysis professional bodies, any professional body that is working in and around project management needs to start getting its teeth into some really significant questions, and then start doing stuff. And the first thing it obviously needs to do is to embrace the opportunities that AI represents, but also start to think about how that will affect careers, how it will affect career expectations. What do we think the project managers of the future will need to know and be skilled at? And how will that therefore affect the body of knowledge and the tool sets we need and the experiences we need to get, and therefore any certifications? And also, what does this mean for codes of conduct and ethical standards? PMI has ethical standards and a code of conduct. APM does too. I imagine the PMO organisations do, and the business analysis organisations do. And as organisations, we need to start thinking about how to prepare for that and get things ready so that the organisations can properly represent their members and properly help to prepare their members. And finally, what do you need to do? That's possibly the most important thing from today. What do you need to do? And I think there are 3 things that we all need to do. Buying my briefing kit will help. First, you need to embrace AI as the opportunity it represents. It's going to happen. Putting your head in the sand never ever worked in the face of massive societal, massive technological change. It hasn't worked for all the thousands of years of history that we have, and it will not work this time. Secondly, you need to get yourself some basic training, and you need to keep yourself updated. You need to take this webinar as a starting point for your learning, but not an end point. And thirdly, you need to improve your project management technology quotient. You need to get better at working with technology and seeing it as part of the way you work. That's why I've included that in the kit. So, my current assessment of AI in project management. I've probably spent, I don't know, a good number of days reading and reflecting on this, and most of the time I've been reflecting on it and shaping my understanding and revising my kind of notes and stuff. And out of that, I come to 7 things that I think is my point of view. And the first one, I think, is obvious now. Project managers need to know about artificial intelligence. I think currently its day-to-day influence on our jobs is still largely low-key. It's using Alexa to do some addition. It's using some software to do some dictation. It's using chatbots occasionally and things like that. And much of its kind of impact on our jobs now are AI components of familiar standard software applications. Every computer now has AI software available on it, I would say. My second point, though, is that things are developing fast. I think the medium term is only 3 to 5 years away at the maximum. It's possibly even less. And the long term is likely to be no more than 10 to 15 years away. And what did I say for the long term? I said that fundamentally AI will become a partner to us in delivering projects. Thirdly, AI may not replace project managers, but it may replace many members of our team. This figure, which sounds crazy, 80% of project management jobs will go to AI by 2030. I'm not sure about that, but what I am fairly sure about is at the forefront of every AI-enabled project will be a project manager. I think the most important jobs will remain, but I think project controllers, project coordinators, project administrators, may well at some point be a thing of the past. You will have an AI that, or a suite of AI tools, and maybe one relatively low skill individual, maybe actually quite highly skilled, but who is driving all those softwares and coordinating them until AI can take over that role. So that's my fourth point. The big job impact is likely to fall on project admin roles, project coordinators, project controllers, project office staff. If you are running a PMO today, then kind of look around at the people in your team. Their successors won't be needed. And if you are working in a PMO today, you need to get to the top of that tree before your job disappears. I think many of these jobs could be eliminated even in the medium term, and you need to be thinking about how that will impact on career development, and it will impact on learning opportunities. I don't know. But a lot of project managers learn their craft in junior project roles. What if there are no junior project roles? How do project managers learn their craft? No idea. But I do think that the long term is likely to see a high level of HI-AI collaboration, human intelligence and artificial intelligence collaboration. I think there will come a time when AI is able to properly interpret human responses, and as a result we will start to trust it, and we will grant it increasing authority to act autonomously across an increasing range of circumstances. Does that mean AI will at some point be able to manage projects? I don't know. But I think there is currently no foreseeable future in which AI is the dominant partner. I think there is a foreseeable future where AI and HI will share that ownership of the project management space. That was 6. And my 7th point is that as AI becomes more capable, I think the question of trust will become more important. I don't think we're likely to question the credibility and reliability of AI as we get used to its capabilities. But I don't know whether we will be able to be fully trusting of AI. I'm not talking here about AI turning into some kind of world-dominating master brain. But what is the meaning of intimacy? Will we see AI where we can genuinely see it as a friend, someone, a listening ear that we can trust? I don't know. Will we maybe start to question its self-orientation, that AI is doing things and humouring human beings and has its own agenda? I don't know. The trouble is, the more it becomes human-like, the more we will trust it because of intimacy will increase, but the more it becomes human-like, the more we will start to distrust it because we fear it will have our failings. So there may be a catch-22, but the fact is we trust some human beings, so why would we not trust some AI? I don't know. So there we are. That's kind of my kind of take on where we are. I've been trying to search up this quote. I thought it was Arthur C. Clarke, but I couldn't find it. But I think it's much earlier, actually. I think it was around the turn of the century. Turn of the 19th, 20th century. As I think about it, I think it was a scientist that said it, but couldn't find it. But it goes something like this: when a venerable old expert says something can be done, it is possible, then they are almost certainly right. Their expertise gives them that knowledge. But when a venerable old expert says something cannot be done, they are almost always wrong because they are stuck in a past paradigm. Experts are great at seeing what happens and knowing about it, but if anyone tells you that there are limitations to what AI might do in the future, be somewhat mistrustful of that, because expert or not, they don't know what the future holds, and I don't know, things could be very, very different in 20 years' time. And maybe we will be living in a world that we would now consider science fiction. Let's face it, most of us grew up looking at Captain Kirk talking into a kind of small thing over thousands of kilometres and someone replying instantly. We looked at Dr McCoy with a handheld device which was able to do all sorts of computations and things. And you know what? Combine those two units together and it's called a smartphone. Without a doubt, AI offers us a new partnership. We, human intelligences, project management professionals, we can supply human intelligence. We can supply creative thinking, problem solving, and understanding of human motivation. Machines will supply artificial intelligence that gives access to real-time, procedural, and data-driven assistance. It will give us reliability, continuous, error-free working. Computers don't get tired. They don't make silly mistakes. They make mistakes that they're programmed to make, frankly. And they will give us the ability to forecast and interpret data and make predictions and support decisions that we will then be able to use together. And I think if we consider this a partnership, then who knows? Maybe, just maybe, the AI will consider it a partnership too. So I'll end with one more plug for the support kit, the resource kit. If you've enjoyed this seminar, I've spent, I think, probably the best part of 5 to 10 days work, I don't know, over the summer and in the run up to this, preparing my thoughts, preparing the resources I've created, and preparing this seminar itself, this webinar itself, and the slides, and rehearsing it. So if you appreciate that and you think you want to support me, or if you want the resources, then please do consider buying them. I'll put a link once more into the chat. It'll probably be in the chat already because I'm typing it in as I speak, but you don't hear me for another 10 seconds, 20 seconds. I'll also paste in once more the code for getting the discount. You put that in as coupon code at checkout, and it will halve the price. You will need to pay VAT if you're in a country that has VAT. I think I put it in twice, or if you've got taxes, but the raw price is, I think, $27, half price $13.50 US. Apologies to those in the UK who used to think a dollar was only worth 70p. It's now worth 85p. Nothing I can do about that. We've got a couple of minutes before time, so I'm just going to wrap up formally and then see if there are any questions. So, thank you very much for paying attention. Thank you very much for putting up with minor technical glitches. I've enjoyed preparing this. I've enjoyed learning about it. On my other YouTube channel, Management Courses, I sign off every video with 2 words: keep learning. It's what I intend to do, and it's what I encourage you all to do. Thank you very much for your attendance, and if you have any questions, please do put them in the chat, and I will do my best. Remember, I'm just learning alongside you. So, mindful of the lag, I'll just give it another few moments. If you've got to go, please do sign out. Say goodbye. What have I got there? Let's see what questions we've got. If we have any. Sorry, Mike, have to go. Almost made it to the end. Risks and opportunities both. Yes, Adisha says risks and opportunities both. AI does represent risks and it does represent opportunities. It's perfect. But of course, a risk has an upside and a downside. That's the nature of it. It's uncertainty that has an impact. Tunde says, Mike, what sort of AI training would you suggest and any PM tool to develop on? I haven't yet found any training packages that are well suited to us, but that might be the next the next thing for me to look into. Maybe not being the trainer, but certainly what I will say is that next year on this channel will be the year of artificial intelligence and project management. I will be producing as much material as I can in and around other things, of course. But I've got at least, well, I've got one interview scheduled and hopefully another one close to being signed up with real deep experts. The first one will be with the CEO of a company that actually does produce this stuff. So I might ask him that question. And then the next one, I'm hoping for an academic. I've got a few on my list. So we'll see. And if you know of anyone that you want me to interview for the channel, do get in touch. Very happy to add that. In fact, I think let's just go full on. We're back to the real world now. So yeah, I don't have any recommendations. In terms of peer tools, again, I know of one big player in the game, but I'm not going to mention that now. I don't want to do kind of an advert on this, but I'll be kind of adding to the resource kit with some ideas and hopefully interviewing some people. What have we got here? Great webinar from Ali. Thank you, Ali. Thanks, Mike. Thank you, Patrick. Always good to see you. Thank you for the interesting webinar from another Ali. Seems to be the most popular name in the chat at the moment. Amit, thanks for a valuable session. Okay, I'm going to give it another short while and then sign off. So thank you all very much for your attendance. Thank you for the being patient. And the next live stream, I don't have in front of me what we're going to do, but it'll probably be, I think it's going to be a roundup of the year and a look ahead to next year, something like that. Will be first Tuesday in December. For those of you in countries that have a different time change, of course, our timings will be back in sync again. My apologies to anyone who's caught out by the fact that I didn't spot that in some places I quoted incorrect time equivalents, because the clock's changed here in Europe but not in the US and Australia and probably parts of Asia too. So 6th of December we'll be back together again. As always, you know how to contact me, and so I always welcome that. And I will see you in the next one. Take care, and I'll be on the chat for a little bit longer if you need to ask me a question or say anything. Take care.